Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan. $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward.
Today's guest is Anna Donaghey, an alcohol mindset coach and the host of the Big Drink Rethink podcast. It may come as a surprise to some of our listeners that Anna arrived at sobriety via a high-flying advertising career, during which she worked on booze-filled ads for the likes of Stella Artois. This makes her area of expertise one of the biggest bugbears for anyone that is newly sober. Booze advertising. Why is it everywhere, and what makes it so enticing? I am practically bursting with questions and cannot wait to hear what it's like working on these campaigns from the inside. Welcome to the Sober Awkward podcast, Anna.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm so excited about this, Anna. Honestly, the whole premise of this podcast is built around a belief that I have that may be complete bollocks. But the belief that I have is that if we can better understand why these ads work so well and what levers they're trying to pull, we will be better equipped to see through them and not be as tempted by them, as I still am 2.5 years into sobriety, as I know Vic still is 7 years into sobriety. So that's the premise, that's the idea, that's the concept. Let's begin by winding back the clock a little bit. You were working in advertising. You're in London, in your 20s. Is this sort of early career?
Yeah, I was in my late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
And you did it for quite some time.
By the time I wrapped up in the advertising business, only last year, I've been at it for over 25 years. Yeah.
I imagine, and I think I've heard this through Vic's sister, advertising in London, perhaps more so then than now, I hope, quite a boozy industry. I mean, are you drinking every day? What does the sort of alcohol in the industry look like?
Yeah, I was drinking every day. I'm not going to lie. I was a single girl. I'd moved to London to work in the advertising industry. I knew it was an industry I was going to fit right into because I already had a sort of a boozy string to my bow. So I arrived in London, went and started working in advertising industry, and agencies, big name agencies, they had bars in them, Hamish. So, I mean, they were, even if they hadn't, they were in the middle of Soho, which is, a notorious kind of pub, bars, restaurants. So even if there hadn't been a bar in the agency, there was like a bar on every corner. And it was just baked in to the culture of the industry. It was kind of expected. If you weren't sort of doing your brainstorms down the pub, you would be taking clients out for long lunches. There's a lot of hospitality. There was always an excuse to be having a drink. And as soon as, the evening rolled round, if you were working late, it was generally expected that the agency would provide, the takeaways and the booze. So there really wasn't any sense of, my drinking was in no way, shape or form out of the ordinary. And it was daily. And I think, you'd probably find this in a lot of sort of business districts as well, all over the world, that if you live on your own, you do your socializing straight after work, right? You hang around in town, you have your meal, you have a few drinks, and then you head home and you're literally going home to go to bed, and then get up and do it all again. So that was kind of what it looked like.
Particularly if the drinks are free. We hang around a bit, we do the free drinks, and then maybe we go on to meet a friend for a paid drink later on in the night when we're tipsy.
Yeah. Exactly. Or let's just say we still had a client with us, and then we can expense the whole lot.
Friends of mine that worked in advertising told a similar story, and I can remember thinking, that is fun. The idea of having a business card and everyone was like, oh yeah, we do lunch at midday on a Friday and you're not expected to go back into the office. I mean, all of that to anyone in their 20s or moving to the big smoke, like, this is La La Land. This is the dream job. Was it fun for you until it wasn't? Was there sort of a decline over time, or was it always fun?
It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. I really thought I'd sort of found my people, and I worked very closely with my team on different accounts, on different brands, and I traveled all over the world, making ads or going to awards ceremonies and doing various work with them, meeting clients. We worked on big global accounts, so we were often, elsewhere. And they were, my kind of extended family, really. So I felt very, very lucky to work in a creative industry, a very liberal industry, with a lot of people who are sort of my age, bright, smart people, and also have kind of free license to make it not feel like work very often. Because of the encroachment of alcohol into the whole thing, it didn't ever feel like a sort of a hard slog work. I had a lot of fun until, as you very rightly said, I wasn't having fun anymore. But that only really kicked in. I really realized I had problems with my drinking when I left the industry to go and have my first baby, when I was in my mid-30s. And I did suddenly realize that I wasn't on a very good trajectory, let's say. That was when it really hit home to me that I probably had a problem with it. Until then, it's like that sort of situation is that, in Soho, I could look left and right and go, well, they drink more than me, or she drinks more than me, or look at the state of him, and blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't make you feel, it's the norming, isn't it? So it doesn't make you feel particularly out of the ordinary. But then away from that, in West London with a young baby and out of that sort of context and environment, my behaviour certainly began to sort of stand out like a sore thumb, and probably not appropriate to someone who 3 months ago had a baby and was now drinking a bottle of wine a night. So, or finding it hard not to. So yeah, that's when it really kind of ceased to be fun, as it were. Absolutely, yeah. We all live in our little bubbles, and that bubble seems normal until you leave it. I think that's why people that live with a heavy drinker think, oh, it's fine, my partner drinks a bottle of wine and I'm only drinking half a bottle of wine a day, so how can I be the problem? Exactly. Well, we'd love to draw those comparisons, don't we? Because those comparisons, look for those comparisons as well. We're never drawing our comparisons with the people who are drinking less, funny enough. We're looking for validation that what we're doing isn't as bad as it could be. Gives ourselves permission to kind of carry on a bit longer. And that's effectively what I was doing whilst in Soho, unwittingly, but nonetheless, that's what I would have been doing. And I think you mentioned working on global brands. In my head, working on an alcohol brand surely would have been the most sought after one. It's big budgets. There's creative license. You might be doing some international travel. There might be some free booze involved. Were they sought after accounts? Were you sort of really hoping you were going to get a call from a Diageo, a Guinness, whoever it might be? Yeah, always. I think, all the big agencies in the industry would look for certain types of accounts. They all wanted a big finance account, although it's a bit boring. You always wanted a car account because that could be quite sexy. And they all wanted an alcohol brand. They all wanted, as many alcohol brands as they could. So someone like Diageo would have been great because they'd have had spirits within their repertoire, and they'd have had, beers and ciders and all sorts. So that would be the dream client. Working on them was coveted, definitely, because, as you said, they had big creative budgets. People who own alcohol brands know that advertising pays back. So no one ever throws millions of pounds at advertising without expecting a return on that investment. So they come to the table with massive big spend, knowing that the return on investment is going to be good. So typically for every pound that they spend on advertising, they can expect to get 4, 5, 6 pounds back in revenues. And that's the kind of return on investment that they're looking for. And they routinely get it. So if a big advertising account like a Diageo comes in, the budgets are going to be big, which typically means that the creativity can be great. The production value is going to be high. It's going to be TV. It might even be cinema. It's probably going to be global. You're going to have a good soundtrack. You're going to get to work with great artists, maybe a good cast. And it's sexy, particularly if you're sitting next to the person who's working on toilet bleach or a perhaps not so sexy category. Then the alcohol ones, and particularly if you're in the age group, because the other thing is, it feels even less like work again if the accounts that you work on are the accounts that you enjoy indulging in. And there's freebies, if you work on the Stella account, then there's always a cupboard of Stella over there because you're kind of expected to not drink any other kind of beer. That would be disloyal to the client.
Really.
So, the fridges are full of it. It's just the norm. But yes, in answer to your question, big spend, high production values, and everyone wants to work on them.
It's funny how your perception of booze adverts change from when you're drinking to when you're sober. So I remember when I was drinking, the iconic advert was the Guinness one, when it was the rolling waves that were horses, and it was a sexy, I can't remember if there was a voiceover. I mean, it was just like the iconic. I reckon I've remembered, less than 5 adverts my whole life, but that one I've always remembered. And then today, I get angry with adverts. So there's one on a bus stop near my house here. And it is for, I can name and shame them, I suppose. They're not a sponsor. It is for Moët Champagne. And what they've done is they've got Roger Federer, one of my heroes, in a black tie, looking sexy as hell, sitting on a set of stairs with, I counted them, 31 bottles of champagne around him. It is the laziest form of advertising. I mean, they could not have spent 6 million on this thing. It's just him sitting on a stair with masses of champagne around him. And it angers me. And loads of people that I know who are newly sober or even years in go, I just can't avoid it. They are everywhere. And they are that one's not enticing, but like you say, hot weather, condensation of the side of a beer, 2 beautiful people laughing with their friends. In Australia, it's always camping. It's always sunny. It's just people laughing around camping. It's never the reality of drinking. There ain't hospitals and bruises and arguments and broken glass and all of the rest of it. Are there when you're writing a brief, you've written these briefs, are there certain things that you're trying to get into every advert? Okay, we know that Sunny works for selling booze. We know that laughing, we know that young, attractive people or music festivals or sports stars like Roger Federer, obviously they say, make us an ad, sell the product. How much guidance are you given? What are you trying to entice us in with? My
role within the agency world was to be a strategic planner. So I would work with the clients. Let's say a gin brand, for example. We always say within advertising, then, what problem are we trying to solve? Okay, now from the client's perspective, there isn't really a problem. They just want to make more money. That's they're a big industry. They're there to make profit. So they will be looking to either grow the market, i.e. appeal to more people than they currently appeal to, or they'll be trying to get, this is the one that gets me upset these days, they want to get current users to drink more frequently. So they want more volume out of each individual current user. Or they want to persuade a drinker of another gin that this is the gin that true gin drinkers would drink. So they're either trying to expand the market, they're trying to increase frequency, or they're trying to encourage switching from other brands. So you go, okay, so you've got a pink product and you want to get women who wouldn't normally drink gin to drink gin. And they're going to say, so yes, they'll say it's because, the spirits are associated with men and we want to open it up for women, blah, 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 blah. There's lots of women out there and they can, if they drink enough gin, they're worth a lot of money to us. So we go, okay, well, we'll focus on that. And then starts the task of saying, well, obviously, what's the demographic? What aspirations do they have? Who, in the case of someone like Roger Federer, may they find aspirational, charismatic, sexy? Obviously, he's a high achiever. Performance, all the sophistication, he's suave, he's stylish, he's Swiss, he's clean, he's all that sort of stuff. So they would be saying, well, who, if we want an ambassador or someone like that to represent the brand, or if not a who, it could be what setting, what scenario do these women feel achingly desperate to be part of? So you're looking all the time to kind of put the brand into those settings or into the hands of people who are obviously going to have great appeal to the audience. As you will know, you saw Roger Federer sat on some stairs today surrounded by 31 bottles of Moet. Not a thing was said about the drink at all. It's not about the intrinsics of the drink, which quite frankly, it's, fermented grapes and, some bubbles. Nothing whatsoever said about that. They're just selling a lifestyle and a set of associations. And they are appealing only to, the emotions and the emotional aspirations of the audience. They're not saying this quenches your thirst or have this on a hot day, it goes down well. They're not actually talking any product benefits. They're just saying this kind of person drinks this kind of product. Or if it wasn't using a placement like Roger, it would be this kind of person in this setting is the kind of person you want to be like. I was talking about this to someone the other day because I was sort of saying, this would make a really lame ad, by the way. But an example that I was giving them was, you could imagine a scene opening up on a rooftop bar, okay, and it's sunset. The light catches the rim of champagne flutes and laughter spills out into the air. And there's really glamorous people sort of milling around and there's success and friendship on offer and everyone's upbeat and joyful and the men are beautiful and the women are all crisp and linen and lovely and gorgeous. And a tagline could come up and it'll say something like, for those who know how to live, right? And you can go, oh, hang on a minute. I know how to achieve, or I know how to work hard, or I know how to be responsible, but do I know how to live? Oh, and there's the hook, right?
Yeah.
There's the hook. That's all it is. They're just saying, oh, you drink this and it'll tell people that you know how to live. And straight away, that's your hook. And the thing is, although that sounds really lame, it really works. It really works. And very high salaries are paid within advertising agencies for, the strategists or the behavioural psychologists to prove that it works. And to prove that return on investment is going to come, because effectively they just want loads and loads of people to turn around and go, I want to be like that. So all they're selling here is an identity. That's all they're selling. Or in the case of beer ads, they could be saying, be one of the lads, connection. Or vodka ads are normally about achingly cool. I mean, like properly achingly cool. Rebellion or whatever. Or whiskey ads are all about the journey, the wisdom.
The history,
History. It's, he knows so much. He's always such a high achiever. He must be a CEO. So all of these brands and all these spirits, all of these beers, all the various things are being positioned as an identity and as selling, what people really want from a kind of a fundamental human level, which is respect or admiration or social belonging, safety in numbers, all that sort of stuff. It sounds like a child could do it because it's kind of, they're not necessarily the most sophisticated of ads, but the way they do it's pretty pretty well researched, and there's behavioural science and stuff sits underneath it all.
Wow. I did not know about the behavioural psychologist and science element of it. So will there be a full-time behavioural psychologist working at an advertising brand, or they get them in and go, look, here are the pitches, which one's pulling the right levers?
I mean, I had to know a certain amount around behavioural economics as a kind of, as a planner, as a strategist, to put more of a sort of a fine tune on it. I suppose advertising is, it's known as the sort of the art of persuasion, really. There's this product and there's that product, and someone can go and buy this one or that one, and they cost pretty much the same, but we've got to create differentiation between them, and you can nudge people and use the art of persuasion in various different ways. And things like fear of missing out or fear of loss. And there's lots of different ways that you can nudge behavior. And one of the ones that's most commonly pulled out of the planning sort of toolkit as far as advertising alcohol is concerned is the social norming. Mm-hmm. It's this idea, I mean, it runs through society as a whole, that everyone else is doing it, so you must too. Or everyone else is doing it, so by inference, if you don't, you're not like everybody else. Well, that's not very nice, is it? That doesn't feel great to not be in the gang, in the gang, in the know, in the tribe. So beer or any advertising for alcohol doesn't have to say, if you don't drink, you're a loser. But by inference, what they're saying is, if you do drink, you're one of the group. You're amongst the high flyers, you're sophisticated, you're this, and therefore by inference. So social norming is a very, very powerful, I suppose, dynamic within advertising, and it's going to get very desperate as well over the next couple of years, when a lot of younger generation are sort of moving away from alcohol. The degree to which they're doing that varies across different markets and stuff, but recent studies in the UK suggested that a good 40% of I think it was sort of 16 to 24-year-olds don't drink at all. That's a big problem for the for the alcohol industry. Obviously, they've got to adjust and they've got to pivot. And what they will do, without a shadow of a doubt, is start trying to flog more to the people they've already got.
Really,
that idea of frequency, we can't lose sales. So if the younger generation aren't going to be buying it, who is our heartland? And for a lot of brands, it's 40 to 50-year-olds, because it's me, because I was guzzling like an absolute fish until about 5 years ago, and I was probably responsible for half of Diageo's profits on my own. So it's kind of people like me. It's like, well, the lifetime value of people like me, unless you quit like I do, the lifetime value is huge. So you look for new occasions as well. You might sort of say to someone like myself in an advert, well, you drink a particular gin, say to go back to this pink gin, now we're going to put it in a can. See what we've done there? Because it's a single serve. You don't even have to be at home.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Yeah.
You can grab one when you're out. You can have it in the park with your friends, and suddenly it's the picnic drink. So you start trying to sort of open up new occasions and say, hey, pink gin drinking lady, here's more opportunities for you to, imbibe grab one when you're next out buying some nappies or something. Mm-hmm. So, it's quite insidious, really. I mean, they know damn well how to get you and the moods that you might be in when you need it, where to position it in the supermarket and how to package it and present it and the meal deals to put it by.
Yeah.
I mean, I see through all of these things in the supermarkets, obviously, and it makes me quite angry. I was looking at a display the other day, which was literally a couple of feet away from the baby aisle. So where frazzled mother might be sort of running in covered in baby gook and, having yet again forgotten something out of her nappy bag, she can just grab a quick gin and tonic on the way out. Mummy wine culture is alive and kicking. You can now buy it in a little can and have it on the way home. You deserve it.
Well, I've heard you talk about the fact you sort of feel a level of guilt about how that is literally a demographic that they are targeting. They go, here we go, women at their most vulnerable time. Mummy drinking culture or daddy drinking culture, I guess, is so real. We're at home more than ever. We are stressed. We still want the old life that we used to have, and we think we've earned it at the end of a tough day and want to go have a night out. And other than, I guess, supermarket placement, product placement, how are they targeting parents? Why are parents in such danger of being targeted by these alcohol brands?
It's interesting because I think the mummy wine culture piece, and I know that I don't exclude dads from the stresses of parenthood. I honestly don't. But I think the mummy wine culture with the pinks, just put it in a pastel tin, or
right.
the pinking of drinking is such a lazy but effective way of doing it. I can sort of pull that. They are definitely targeting that demographic. But in many ways, I would argue that they don't necessarily have to overtly target that demographic, because at a certain point in life, i.e. parenting, that demographic can be turning towards alcohol more. You know what I mean? It's like the demand is there. They don't have to be. And the reason why I say that is, and I always talk about the fact that, when we're drinkers, and certainly when we're dependent drinkers, we're giving alcohol jobs to do. We're saying alcohol, please make me feel more socially confident, or please make me feel more courageous, or please make me feel more interesting or more popular. And of course, one of the biggest jobs we give alcohol to do is please make me feel more relaxed. Please make me feel less overwhelmed. Please make me feel more calm. And sometimes just please let me feel more me. Just give me 15 minutes when everyone else wants this piece of me. Just give me 15 minutes that I'm still, me. All of those feelings, all those things I've just mentioned, stressed and frazzled and torn every which way. This is the tsunami of emotions that come at you when you're a parent. So if you enter parenthood already using alcohol to manage your emotions, then it's almost guaranteed that as those emotions ramp up and come, more thick and fast, that you're going to drink more. I mean, I can literally remember walking down the steps from the agency going on a cardboard box. I was off on my first kind of maternity leave, and I thought, this is it. You're going to grow up. You're going to leave all this behind you, and thank God, your liver needs a break, and you're going to go and have a baby, for God's sake. You've got to be responsible. And I had every intention of, turning over a new leaf, and somewhere between Soho and Ealing, I was going to sort of slip into being a sort of sensible person who didn't drink like that anymore. Somewhere along the Piccadilly line, I was going to sort of transition. Within 3 months, I was drinking as much as had my baby. I'd breastfed for sort of decent amount of time, and then I was desperate to have a drink again. And it was because I'd already established a very assured pattern of managing life through alcohol. So these very dramatic changes, these sort of seismic plates that were shifting under my feet and making life feel incredibly challenging, were always, when I look back, going to be met by alcohol. It was the only tool I had in my toolkit. So I actually think, I think it's disgraceful that alcohol brands do target a mummy wine culture, because boy, are you vulnerable at that point in time. And it's like, oh my goodness me, it's literally the most divisive of, just calm down, and you deserve it. And look at the day you've had, all that sort of stuff. But to be honest, I mean, no one had to target me. I was going to be a drinker at that stage in life because of how emotional that stage of life is and just how badly I manage my emotions.
Well, I think it's an interesting point, the idea that if alcohol already gets its claws into you in your 20s, you will find your way back during parenthood. You know, they don't even need to push it. It's stressful enough, and that is your coping mechanism already, and it's deeply embedded. So you'll wander back to alcohol. That's a fascinating idea.
It's true. And yet the thing that I would add to that, though, is, you know, clearly alcohol brands in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same, you know, you're not allowed to target, you know, below the age of 18 in the UK. But they absolutely know that if you can get a drinker in, the younger you can get a drinker in, clearly the longer the lifetime value of that drinker. And also, you know, from a statistical point of view, if you start drinking when you're 15 or 16, you're more likely to be a heavier drinker when you're older. What you mentioned earlier, like the sort of the ambient advertising, the Roger Federer stuff, the concerts, the festivals, big sports events, the FIFA Cup sponsored by Heineken, that is absolutely fair game to put that out in front of everybody and say, real fans of the game drink beer. Because that's what it's saying by inference. You know, if you're really into football and Heineken's a supporting act, then that's the message you get. So yes, you're absolutely right. If you're into booze in your 20s, you're likely going to gravitate that way at real pinch points in life, not just parenthood. But the advertising agencies know there are ways you can get to people a lot younger than that.
Yeah, I don't know if you've had this experience on your podcast, but we find alcohol adverts find their way into our podcast. Even though we say, you know, clearly we want zero advertising of alcohol, it finds its way in via a supermarket ad or probably happens 3 or 4 times a year. We get someone writing to us going, hang on a minute, I just had Jim Beam, or, you know, some whiskey has popped up.
Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? And I suppose that's the other thing, isn't it? Because they're not necessarily doing it directly at that point. But yeah, if your local supermarket's doing, you know, 3 for 2 on bottles of Jim Beam, and you've said yes to that particular sort of supermarket, then yeah, very sneaky.
How do you look at it now? You know, you're like all of us, you're sober, and you'll be flooded by the same amount of adverts that we all are. Having worked in it, you know, you said that they still get you angry. Are you able to go, okay, yeah, I can see what this one's trying to do. No, it's not going to work on me today. You know, how do you sort of view alcohol ads now?
Well, I see them for what they are. Obviously, there's a sort of a transparency to them that I can kind of go, I can imagine what the creative brief on that one said. You know, I can literally picture the document and go, what were the objectives? Who's the target audience? What do we want them to feel, think, or associate with the brand? You know, what was the creative proposition? I can dissect it as an insider from the industry. I mean, it's difficult though, Hamish, because I'm kind of, you know, people could be listening to this thinking, oh, you're sort of poacher turned gamekeeper. You know, this is, and it's like, yeah, kind of. But, you know, I ran into problems with alcohol. I wasn't impervious to them, you know, by working on the ads, even though I was working on the ads and helping write the ads, I fell foul in the same way that anybody can. I think probably, you know, someone was asking me the other day, do I have any regrets? And I do actually regret working on advertising that was for alcohol. I have a sort of a balance in my conscience to a little bit, which, you know, I've also worked on a lot of healthcare brands and I've done a lot of charity advertising, and, you know, but I have, not so much in my later years, but in my younger years, going back to my 20s and 30s, I worked on alcohol brands, and I do regret that because, you know, I was peddling the crap that gets people into trouble. So probably some people might say it's slightly karma that I went that way myself. But I look at it now, and I do sometimes just say to people, just count the number of times during the course of a day, you know, you see alcohol advertising or messaging in some shape or form. And just look at what it's telling you. Look at the crap that it's telling you, really. The fact that we need it in order to be a certain way or be perceived to be a certain way or to feel a certain way. Have a look at what it's selling you, see it for what it is. At the end of the day, it's a toxic substance in a bottle, which ain't that sexy when you look at it like that. So the veneer and the kind of the artifice that's put around it is incredible, absolutely incredible. But it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. But one of the things I do these days, I've got a 17-year-old daughter, and I just be like, look at that ad. I'm pointing out all the time because it's the social conditioning. Although we like to believe we're impervious to it, we're not. And it's the fact that we think we are that makes it so powerful. We think we're not consuming these messages, but we are in a very passive way. We are. So yeah, I see it for what it is. But yes, they still make me angry.
Is there a way that it could be done ethically? Is there any chance of this game changing, or are we forever going to be bombarded with booze advertising? It's just going to be aimed at older people because younger people are more aware now. How do you see the future of this sort of alcohol advertising industry?
I would love nothing more than for alcohol advertising to go the way of tobacco advertising.
Yeah.
If people want to take out of the advertising that it's cool and it's sophisticated, that will always be the advertiser's wish, that they take those messages out. But I think they should be very clearly balanced with how the risks sit as well. Cigarettes were always going to be sort of slightly associated with like the images of James Dean and sort of sophisticated people smoking. But it got to a stage clearly where the industry had to put very large health warning labels, the types of health harms that it can create. And that was balanced. That brought a certain element of balance into it. At the moment, I think it's almost, I call the advertising of alcohol legalized lying, because they are intentionally omitting the truth. So that, in my book, is lying by design. You're withholding information which would be very important to people and would quite frankly sway choices. So I would certainly, as far as health harms are concerned, mental health harms, I would love to see flagged on alcohol, because I think that's a huge problem. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but in the UK, we have one body who's responsible for monitoring and regulating TV advertising. And I think of the body of people who sit in that organisation, half of them are representatives from the advertising industry, from the alcohol industry, rather. We have a government who takes billions of pounds every year in tax from drinks revenues. So they're not pushing tighter restrictions to the top of the agenda. Because they'd be cutting off their own arm in a way. And then we have an organisation called the Portman Group, which is supposed to be a sort of a conglomerate of the drinks industry. They are the drinks industry, who are supposed to come together and agree ways to behave responsibly. But it's a nonsense. The very product is challenging. It's addictive. And it's what sort of really upsets me about the Portman Group is the best thing that they seem to have come up with so far is they'll say drink responsibly. Yeah. So it's like, we're allowed to sell you this highly toxic and addictive product, but it's on you. It's on you to drink it responsibly. And I mean, that's just utter nonsense. And that's the best that they've kind of come up with so far. So it's probably a slow burn, this one, because we've got no individual, industry body regulating it and protecting us. But I think there's probably, more of a growing groundswell of people who want to see change. So maybe it comes from the grassroots a bit more. Maybe that's where it comes from. But in an ideal world, it would go the route of cigarette advertising, where it effectively ends up getting banned, certainly from the major channels like TV.
I'm so glad you flagged those 3 points, because I feel like knowledge is power in this. I can remember when I found out, the government make X amount of millions in tax off booze every year. Of course, they're not incentivized to help us. As soon as I learnt these little things, I didn't even know that it was toxic. I didn't know it was a class A carcinogen. I didn't know any of that. And I drank for 20 years without knowing any of that. And as soon as you sort of peek behind the veil, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's more going on here. And I almost feel like a conspiracist saying that, but as soon as you understand it, you're like, oh, the odds are stacked wildly against us.
Well,
That whole drink responsibly thing, it's almost laughable, isn't it? It's a 90-second, multi-million-dollar advert with sexy people clinking glasses, sunset, and then right at the end, in very small writing, boop, drink responsibly, end the ad.
If I set up a cottage industry, if I set up a little kind of domestic entrepreneurial industry in my own home and started brewing kombucha, and I decided it was like it was a great product and it had a place in market, it would probably take me about 5 years to get it to market because of the hoops I'd have to jump through from a regulations perspective. All sorts of tests would have to be done as to how stable it was on shelf and how it affected my body and how people were going to react after a certain amount of time of drinking it. They would want to know the calorific content. They would want to know the salt content. They would want to know if it was gluten-free. They would want to know if it was vegan. They would want to know everything about it. It would take me years and years and years to get this anodyne, if not slightly healthy, product to market. But none of these rules apply to alcohol. They don't have to have a calorie. Every single consumable in the supermarket, apart from alcohol, has to have calorie content, salt content, fat content, carbohydrate content, and it's sort of, we've got this traffic light system in the UK where it's like it's red, it's high in salt or whatever. It doesn't apply to alcohol. Complete law unto itself. And on my own podcast about a year ago, I was speaking to a really lovely guy called Professor David Nutt, who said if alcohol was created or invented today, there's no way it would be passed as being fit for human consumption by the standards who police these things today. There's no way it would be passed for human consumption at all. You'd be laughed out the boardroom. You'd be like, look at this thing. It's a carcinogen and it's linked to sort of X number of different types of cancers and it creates, heart disease. No way. Absolutely no way. But because it's been around for years and years and years, it gets kind of free pass on all of these things. And because it's now from the marketing side of it, it's policed by the people who make it, and the government have no interest in, I suppose, cutting off the stream of revenues that comes from the taxes on it. So it's not a very optimistic picture, but I am an optimist, and I do think change is afoot, but I think it will come from more public demand and grassroots maybe than from the industry itself.
I'm glad you say that. That was my final question is, are you optimistic? You're a mother of two, you've got teenagers. Lots of our listeners are mothers and dads and parents, and they're worried that their over drinking might impact their kids, and what kind of a world are they coming up in? Obviously, the non-alcoholic industry seems to be booming. That seems to be some sort of light and hope. How do you envision, your kids 20, 30 years on from now? What's the world of alcohol going to look like then? Do you think this shift is slowly happening?
I think a shift is slowly happening. I think I see it in my own daughters, but they are but two. Do you know what I mean? They don't necessarily represent the whole generation, obviously. But statistics would tell you that a greater awareness, particularly of the mental health harms, is driving people away, from the younger generation, away from alcohol. I would caveat that by saying they're probably into other stuff, because if not, they'd be the first generation not to have their own stuff going on. But that's a different argument, I suppose. Away from alcohol, which would be sort of my main concern as an alcohol coach, has got to be good. And with that, the thing that really excites me about that is I think some of it's being driven by technology and mobile phones and cameras, and not, people wanting to police their own image and not be caught on camera vomiting in the gutter and sleeping in skips and stuff like that. But I think so much of it, if what we're told is right, it is about the mental health side of it. And that just means that instead of alcohol, hopefully, they're accumulating a better toolbox. And they're talking more and talking about their emotions more and being more vulnerable to each other. And, the 40 and 50-year-olds of this world, myself included, we're not particularly emotionally literate, which can get us into all sorts of problems with alcohol, because it becomes our sort of emotions manager. It becomes a thing that we turn to do these jobs for us, or just when we don't want to think about our emotions at all. So, to have a younger generation who are just more clued up on mental health and how to protect it has got to be a good thing. And that gives me a lot of hope. Mm-hmm. That genuinely does. So I hope that those stats are right. And I hope that, the swathe of younger generation not drinking continues to grow, because it'd be really I've never done the calculation, but it'd be really interesting to see at what point in time it flips to where more people in any given population are non-drinkers than drinkers, because that'll be a moment.
That day will come. I've got no doubt.
Sort of the people, and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s are still guzzling away. We're not going to live forever. And if there's a whole cohort of people coming along behind for whom drinking isn't the norm, that's the moment.
What a way to finish a podcast. You've got to die. Clear you lot out, and then we'll all be all right.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for coming on here, because I feel like you've plugged a lot of gaps in my knowledge about what's going on in the world of advertising.
Confirmed a lot of suspicions.
Confirms the suspicions, sure. And it's funny, you came into my life probably a year ago. So my mum is still of the generation who cuts out newspaper clippings and then puts them in an envelope and sends them to Australia. I don't know why she doesn't just take a photo on a phone and send it to me on WhatsApp, but I get a lot of them. And since going sober, most of them seem to be about sobriety. And she sent me one of I think it must have been maybe when you launched your podcast, you were in some sort of newspaper and it made my way over. And I listened to the Adrian Chiles episode and I started listening to it. And I feel like your messaging in England has always been very similar to ours here, which is, we're not telling people you've got to go sober, but we're encouraging people to reconsider, maybe have a look at it, whether or not it's causing you a problem. And I do think that's the right way about it. It's a bit less headmastery.
I'm pleased you said that, Hamish, because the thing that I always say, particularly with regards, the Big Drink Rethink, my podcast, is that, for me, it's about just checking in and making sure that you're only drinking in ways that are making you happy, so you don't have to be in trouble. You don't have to be saying are things bad. My question of people is, is your life good enough? Because if it's not, and you're not where you want to be, or you're not who you want to be, you've not achieved what you wanted to achieve, or you haven't got as much money as you hoped you'd have, or whatever it might be, just look and see whether any of this has got to do with alcohol, because somewhere along the line it may well have. If you're a drinker, it may be affecting you in ways that you're just not aware of. So don't demonize it. Like yourself, we're all adults, we make our own choices, but we've got to know what we're choosing. And I think that's the important thing.
So obviously Big Drink Rethink is the podcast. Where else can our listeners find you?
Well, because I'm a very big proponent of the fact that we all believe alcohol can do these jobs for us, I go under the guises of the Beliefs Coach. So I have a website called The Beliefs Coach, and I have an Instagram account at The Big Drink Rethink. But my main thing is the podcast. If people want to tune into the podcast, then I'd be delighted to have some Aussie listeners.
Thank you so much, Anna. That's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed for having me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Have a lovely, lovely day.
Thank you.
If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
They have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?
I don't know, just write it on the...
Hey neighbor, celebrate the holidays with Birch Lane. Our timeless furniture and decor are delivered for free in days, not weeks. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
G'day USA, it's Tony here from the Tony and Ryan podcast. My best mate and I, we make a podcast together every day, daily laughs, but you don't have to take our word for it.
Ali listens to the show from North Carolina. Why should other people in the US listen to this podcast?
They're just going to make you laugh your ass off and make you be a better person, start your day off better, end your day off better. Whenever you listen to the podcast, you're just going to fall in love.
Oh, well, no one's ever said anything that nice before, so I love it.
I love it too. Listen to Tony and Ryan.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
Okay, good.
So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Yeah, go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it, yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Yeah, buy another one.
Yeah.